Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Gopi Jana Ballabha Girid Bharat Hare Gopi Jana Ballabha Jaya Gopi Jana Ballabha Girid Bharat Hare Jana Ballabha Girid Bharat Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Gopi Jana Ballabha Girid Bharat Hare Gopi Jana Ballabha Girid Bharat Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Jaya Radha Vallabha Radha Vallabha Radhe, Jaya Radha Vallabha Radha, Jaya Radha Vallabha Radha Vallabha Radhe, Radha Vallabha Radha Vallabha Radhe, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Nitai Gaura Haribal, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribal, Haribal, Nitai Gaura, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa, Parivrajikacharya, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaja, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Radha Vallabha Bhagavan ki jai, Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sudevaya. This morning we're reading from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 10, Text 67. Saram Danushi Sandaya, Saram Danushi Sandaya, Muhurte Bijitishvaraha, Bijitishvaraha, Dadaha tena durbedya. Tena durbedya. Harota tripuro nripa. Harota tripuro nripa. Saramdanushi sandaya. Murte Vichitishvaraha. Dadahatena durbedya. Harota tripuro nripa. Saramdanushi sandaya. Murte Bijitishvaraha. Dadahatena durbedya. Harota tripuro nripa. Someone else? Tadahatena durbedya. Harota tripuro nripa. Saramdanushi sandaya. Muhurte Bijitishvaraha. Tadahatena durbedya. Harota tripuro nripa. Vaishnavis? Saramdanushi sandaya. Muhurte Bijitishvaraha. Tadahatena durbedya. Harota tripuro nripa. Saramdanushi sandaya. Murte Bijitishvaraha. Dadahatena durbedya. Harota tripuro nripa. Saramdanushi sandaya. Muhurte Bijitishvaraha. Dadahatena durbedya. Harota tripuro nripa. Word for word. Saram, the arrows. Danushi, on the bow. Sandaya, joining together. Muhurte abhijiti, at noon. Ishvaraha, Lord Shiva. Tadaha, set afire. Tena, by them, the arrows. Durbedya, very difficult to pierce. Hara, Lord Shiva. Ata, in this way. Tripura, the three residences of the demons. Nripa, O King Yudhishthira. Translation, my dear King Yudhishthira, the most powerful Lord Shiva joined the arrows to his bow, and at noon he set fire to all three residences of the demons and thus destroyed them. So we'll read through to the end of the chapter, text 68. Divi dundubayo nedhu vimana sata sankula deva rishi pitri sidesha jayeti kusumot karai avakiran jagu rishta nanritus chapsaro gana. Translation, seated in their aeroplanes in the sky, the inhabitants of the higher planetary systems beat many kettle drums. The demigods, saints, Peters, siddhas, and various great personalities showered flowers on the head of Lord Shiva, wishing him all victory, and the Apsaras began to chant and dance with great pleasure. Text 69. Evam dagva puras tishro bhagavan puraha nripa brahma didbi stuyamana svamdama pratyapadyata. Translation. O King Yudhisthira, thus Lord Shiva is known as Tripurari, the annihilator of the three dwellings of the demons, because he burnt these dwellings to ashes. Being worshipped by the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva returned to his own abode. And we'll finish with the text 70. Evam vidyasya hare hare sva mayaya vidam bamanasya nrilokam atmana viryani gitan rishibi jagat guru lokan punanani aparam vadami kim. Translation. The Lord Sri Krishna appeared as a human being, yet he performed many uncommon and wonderful pastimes by his own potency. How can I say more about his activities than what has already been said by great saintly persons? Everyone can be purified by his activities simply by hearing about them from the right source. Purport. Bhagavad Gita and all the Vedic literatures fully explain that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna appears in human society as an ordinary human being, but acts very uncommonly for the well-being of the entire world. One should not be influenced by the illusory energy and think Lord Krishna to be an ordinary human being. Those who really seek the absolute truth come to the understanding that Krishna is everything, Vasudeva Savamiti. Such great souls are very rare. Nonetheless, if one studies the entire Bhagavad Gita as it is, Krishna is very easy to understand. The Krishna consciousness movement is just trying to make Krishna known all over the world as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna stu Bhagavan Swayam. If people take this movement seriously, their lives as human beings will be successful. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th canto, 10th chapter of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, entitled Prahlād, the best among exalted devotees. So, whoever's writing the board, it'll be Canto 7, Chapter 11, Text 1 will be tomorrow. Chapter 11, Text 1. So, this chapter, of course, deals with Prahlād Maharaj, and this canto especially deals with Lord Narasingha, how he appeared to save his great devotee, Prahlād. But now we're talking about another little bit related story, in that Lord Shiva was helped by Lord Krishna to overcome the Tripura Asura. Tripura, a very famous story. Those of you from India would probably know about Tripura Asura. And of course, this was described in the previous verses about Tripura Asura, and how Lord Shiva was able to come and save the Devas from these Asuras. Now, of course, the story it's told here in the Bhagavatam just very in a short, summarized way, but it is told in other Shastras, in other Puranas. A more elaborate description is Skanda Purana, and other Puranas. There's more elaborate description how these Asuras, they were formerly the sons of Tarakasura, and Tarakasura, he was very powerful. He was attacking the Devas previously, and he was invincible. And he prayed to Lord Brahma, he got the benediction, that he couldn't be killed by anyone, invincible, only he could be killed by a son of Lord Shiva. So Brahma said that to be invincible is not possible, but all right, if you want to have just that condition, then I grant that boon that you will be invincible. There's all very related and tied stories that Tarakasura, Kalanemi, also was the commander-in-chief of his armies. Kalanemi later became Kamsa in Krishna Lila. So this is the Asuras were always attacking the Devas, and so the stories are very much tied in. And so Tarakasura, he was wreaking havoc with the Devas, and of course he could only be defeated by a son of Lord Shiva. Now, Tarakasura thought he was on very safe ground with that, because at that time, after Sati's passing, Lord Shiva was practicing tapasya, and he wasn't married, and for a long time he practiced tapasya after the death of his wife Sati, and he didn't marry. So he thought, well, and he didn't have any children with Sati, so he thought, Tarakasura thought, well, he's not going to have any children. So there won't be any son of Lord Shiva who can defeat me. But later on, of course, Parvati, who was the reincarnation of Sati, the daughter of Himalayas, of course, she always desired to be the wife of Lord Shiva, but he was in meditation. He was, detached from the world, and she was always desiring. And it's actually, I think, it's mentioned that she lived and died and lived many lives, and just doing the same thing, wanting to again be reunited with Lord Shiva. And finally, some arrangement of Indra. There's another related story there, how Indra was worried about Tarakasura, and so he sent Kamadev to try to, get his amorous nature to come up so that he would marry Parvati. And so Kamadev went there and he fired some arrows, amorous arrows, but Lord Shiva, when that was done, he opened his third eye and burned Kamadev to ashes. Of course, later on, he did eventually marry Parvati, and she's his eternal wife, and so he was married to her, and they had Skanda or Kartikeya as their son, Kartikeya. So with this Kartikeya, all the demigods approach Shiva and Kartikeya, please, this Tarakasura, we are hiding in fear, please slay him, he's wreaking havoc. And so Kartikeya was able to slay this Tarakasura. So Tarakasura's sons, he had 3 sons, Tarakaksha, and I forget the other names, the 3 sons. He had 3 sons, and so they were very mortified by the death of their father. They did a lot of tapasya. They were also great devotees of Lord Shiva. But they did tapasya and prayed to Lord Brahma to become invincible. And Lord Brahma, he told them that you cannot be invincible. You cannot. You can live forever. Also, they asked to live forever. You can't be invincible in this world. You can't live forever in this world. I cannot. All right, well, and actually they said, well, allow us to live in residences that will not be, they cannot be destroyed at any time except by 1 arrow. Only 1 arrow can destroy these places. Tripura means, Pura means, of course, a place. Tripura means 3. There were 3. So Lord Brahma said, all right, that is your condition. Then, so they knew that no one could do that. These Puras, or these cities, were constructed by Mayasura. He was another king of the Danavas, famous as he had many talents, and famous as the architect, great architect of the Asuras. So they approached him, and he built them these magical cities that were invisible, mentioned here, that he made them invisible, couldn't be seen by some mystic ability he had. And one was made, I think it's mentioned here, one was made from the iron, one was made from the silver. The iron one was dwelling in the lower planetary systems, and the silver one was in the earthly planet, in that area. And then there was one of gold in the Spaga. But no one could see them. They were kind of invisible, and they were moving cities. Moving cities. Today we have moving planes, and sometimes we see big ships. They come in, they're like cities in themselves. They're very big, and thousands of people live there. But these were whole huge cities that couldn't be seen and were huge, and they could move. They could move around in the universe. And just amazing mystic thing, Mayadanava. Of course, and they would only, of course the Tripura Asuras, the three sons of Tarakasura, they knew that they would only line up, even if someone came with an arrow to shoot. Now the condition was that one arrow should pierce all three of them together at one time. So they knew that they wouldn't line up. There was only one period, nakshatra period, or the lunar period. I think it was mentioned that once in 1,000 years, at this time, they would line up. Once in 1,000 years, they would line up according to the astronomy. And so they do a very, very impossible thing. Even, that because they're invisible and because they're made of the very strong, invincible ingredients and mystic kind of cities, always moving, only very a short time they would line up together. Who is going to kill us? We will live in it. And actually it's mentioned that many asuras, they heard about these cities. They knew they were invisible, and always moving around. So many of them went and lived there in those cities. Those from the lower planetary systems and those from they lived in those cities, and they just travel around in those cities. And it mentioned in the previous verses that Mayadanava, he created a type of pool made of amrit, nectar, that like a mritya samjivani, that could revive a dead body. So here it is mentioned that Lord Shiva, he fired and he killed, the Asuras were attacking from these cities all the time. So the Devas prayed to Lord Shiva to help them. And so he fired some arrows, killed so many of the demons, the Asuras, but then Mayasura dipped them in this like Mritya Samjivani pool, and they were revived. So Lord Shiva was frustrated that again they'd come to life. And this is what is mentioned here in these verses, that Lord Shiva felt deflated and frustrated that he was asked by the Devas. And then, big personalities, when they're approached in a humble mood, they're asked to save the situation, then they agree and they do it. But if they're frustrated, it's very embarrassing for them. Their reputation is decreased. Of course, Lord Shiva, he's a transcendental personality, but this is some Leela. He's not affected by, fame or reputation or anything like that. He's a very, very transcendental personality. But just to do some Leela, he was he was deflated. He was depressed because the demons had again come back to life. So why this story is mentioned is connected to Krishna, because Krishna, seeing all that, made arrangement how Lord Shiva could now fully defeat the demons. There's the story that was mentioned here, that Lord Krishna in his form of Vishnu and Lord Brahma, Vishnu became a cow and Lord Brahma became the calf, and they went there to that place where that pool was, and the cow and the calf drank the pool of the nectar. And right in front of everyone, and they were dismayed, but just due to the illusory power of Lord Vishnu, they just couldn't do anything. They didn't want to. The Danavas, born of the deity, they have some sense of religiosity. They didn't want to kill a cow and a calf. That would be very, very auspicious. So they were watching. They didn't like that they were doing it. This is the pool of the Amrit, bring back to life. But they just allowed it. And then even Mayadanava himself, Pandavas and the Kauravas, finally the Pandavas were given one area I think west of Hastinapur, where the Kauravas were living, and the Kandava Prastha. That was like a desert there. And so, you can have some land, and they gave them a desert. There's nothing there, just desert. It was on the way to Rajasthan, so let's desert, just desert. So have that land, and so the Pandavas were given that land. They went there, and by the arrangement, the Krishna and Arjuna there, and Arjuna, of course, is the son of Indra. So there were some prayers, everything. Indra poured the rain, and then became very beautiful. Became very, very beautiful, because Duryodhana was very upset about that, because he thought, they will do nothing over there. They'll just perish over there in the desert. But then Indra came and poured so much rain, became very beautiful, like beautiful forest and jungle and everything like that. But later in the forest, there was one Takshaka. Actually, there were Naga tribes were living there. Naga, and the head was Takshaka. Later on, he was the one who came and bit Parikshit. So everything is so many stories related here. But anyway, so Takshaka was there, and Agni. The whole story of Agni wanted to burn the forest where Takshaka was there. Mayadanava was living there, and so Agni couldn't burn because Indra was protecting. And so Arjuna, when Indra was pouring on the rain to protect Takshaka, Arjuna came and helped Agni, and the whole story there about Agni had some indigestion. He had to burn that forest because there were very medicinal herbs in there that were good for his digestion. So he wanted to eat it, but he couldn't eat it because Indra was protected. Every time he went to burn it, Indra would pour the rain. So Agni was frustrated, and he wanted the medicinal herbs in there. And so Arjuna came there, and with the help of Krishna, and he, when the rain was coming, he fired his arrows and made a protection dome over that forest, and Agni went in and burnt it, and so many Nagas were killed, and others fled. Takshaka fled, and also Mayadanava fled, and just came and surrendered to Krishna and Arjuna. Later, you know that they asked him to build the palace, the Sabha of the Pandavas. It was a mystical palace. So Mayadanava is connected with the Pandavas. So he surrendered to Arjuna and Krishna, and he built them that wonderful palace that where Duryodhana later came, and there was the water, and the marble was there, and you couldn't tell the difference, and he was walking and he fell in the water, and he thought it was marble, but he fell in the water, and the ladies were laughing, and so he was a little bit humiliated in there. So there's many interconnected stories here of Mayadanava and Tarakasura and Lord Kartikeya, Skanda, or Kartikeya is known by many different names, Murugan in Malaysia, Murugan, or South India also. He's known by different names. And so these three Asuras were invincible. One was living in the iron city, one was living in the silver one was living in the gold one, and they were somehow or other invisible. No one could actually see them. They were going and attacking the Devas, raining down with so many weapons. And then Lord Shiva, so he tried to kill them, but they were brought back to life. So, as I said, Lord Vishnu came, and with Brahma, and drank all them, so they couldn't be brought back to life. And then just at the right time, now Krishna helped, Lord Shiva empowered him. Now there's a whole story of what became the chariot. They said that whole earth became the chariot itself, and I think Lord Brahma became the chariot driver. I forget who became the bow. I think that Lord Vishnu himself became the bow, and someone, or maybe Vishnu became the arrow. All the devas became the wheels, and so everyone helped. And then when Lord Shiva, when the proper time came, he fired his arrow, as mentioned here, and he destroyed those cities of the Tripura Asuras. A very famous story told in the Puranas. Here is mentioned in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and therefore Lord Shiva is known as Tripurari. Tripurari means the slayer of the Tripura Asuras and their cities, of the three cities. Tree means, of course, three, of the three cities. So Lord Shiva is celebrated as Tripurari. No one could defeat them. They were invincible. They had the boon from Lord Brahma. Only one person can fire an arrow like that. And he pierced all three when they lined up just at that nakshatra, Luna. They just lined up just at that moment. It's actually mentioned here as the time is there. The sanya, the word sanya is used in the first verse we read, which means at noontime, just at that noon, especially mentioned at noontime, that was where the lineup was. So Lord Shiva, he could have fired the arrow anytime, but he waited till the noon. This is when they're lining up exactly. One arrow will go through all of them, and with these fiery arrow, and boom, they all burned, and everything was destroyed. And of course, here it is mentioned that everyone was so harassed for such a long time by these, and they were very vengeful because their father was killed by Kartikeya. And so they were, just as their father was attacking the Devas, so then he was killed. And so they were very angry, and so they were attacking the Devas non-stop. And so they had to be stopped. And no one could do it, and they were killing so many. And so Lord Shiva came and rescued everyone, and with the help of Krishna, we see the connection here with Krishna. And then everyone is so happy. He's so, worshipped by the demigods. Lord Brahma came there, so many devas came there, kettle drums were sounded. The great saints, the Pitas, the Siddhas, various great personalities showered flowers. Lord Shiva was there, and somehow all this great celebration, Mahotsava, a great Utsava, or Mahotsava. I've got one godbrother, his name is Mahotsava Das. So Utsava, great festival, drums, singing, dancing, flowers coming down. So such was the Lord Shiva was there, and they were worshipping him. Now, of course, this is mentioned here in the Bhagavatam because it's Krishna helped him, empowered him, because he was frustrated, he couldn't kill them immediately. And so Krishna, with his intelligence, drank the nectar in the form of a cow, and Brahma in the form of the calf. So, defeated that situation because they were kept getting brought back to life. And so, so who can be as intelligent as the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Therefore, the final verse here today, he appeared as a human being, but he performed many uncommon and wonderful pastimes by his own potency. So this is Krishna. Krishna. So we read so many leelas. He comes to the earth. He comes to this leela in the Svarga, in the heavenly planets. So many stories we can read, and therefore Krishna is the topmost. And Prabhupada, he mentions here that Krishna is not actually incarnate. Now I know many, and it's quite common, especially in India, that Krishna is accepted as an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Yes, he may have come through, but before Vishnu, he is existing in the spiritual world. This is, of course, mentioned in the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigranadi Adi, Govinda, what is it? Anadi Adi Govinda, Savakarana Karanam. And we always chant Govinda Madi Purasham. Lord Brahma is chanting like that. And of course, Eti Chamsa Kala Pumsam, Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swam, Indrari, Vyakalam Lokam, Indra, Mridayanti Juge Juge. This verse from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, very famous verse, that yes, there are many incarnations, but the head of all the incarnations, Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam, Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. The Swayam means original, and there are different expansions, Swayam Prakash, Swayam Prabha, Swayam Vilas, Swayam Vaibhav. So many different types of expansion. Expansion, so Prabhupada explained, what is the difference between incarnation and expansion? He said expansion means in the spiritual world, immediately like Lord Balaram, then expanded into the Lord Narayan and so many in the Vaikuntha. But then when they come to the world, this is called the avatar or incarnation. They descend to the world. So in the Krishna Loka, before there are the Vishnus, there is Krishna. Ete Chamsa Kala Pumsam. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So he is original. We don't argue on this point. Somehow, no, Vishnu, and then there is Krishna. Yes, to do Leela, he comes in, just like he appears as the son of Vasudeva Devaki. He appears in many ways. He appeared from the nostril of Lord Brahma as Lord Varaha. It actually doesn't mean that Lord Brahma is his father. No, he appeared from Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma, he is the father of Lord Brahma. He initiated Lord Brahma. And he actually tells Lord Brahma in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, he said, before all this world, and before the Prakriti, there was only I. And then from me came somebody. So he tells Lord Brahma like that. But sometimes he appears from Lord Brahma in particular way. He appears in other forms. Lord Ram, who is the father of Lord Ram? Dasarath, King Dasarath. So he appeared as the son of King Dasarath. And so, but he's not the son of King Dasarath. Everyone knows Lord Ram. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. And he just appears. So he can appear through Vishnu. The incarnations appear Chiradakshay Vishnu. Through the Chiradakshay Vishnu he comes. But he is the origin actually of Vishnu. So this is the point that's made here. So one should understand these things. Prabhupada actually comments here, Krishna is not ordinary. He's not like us. We are ordinary living entities. We are part and parcel of him originally. Now we come to this world and trying to fulfill our desires. Not natural, but we are in this world. And we are part and parcel, but he is supreme being. Nityo nityanam chaitanas chaitananam ekobonam yo viditati kaman. There is one eternal who is the origin of all the other eternals, and he is supplying the needs of everyone. He is the original, and he is the great. We are small, he is great. This is Krishna. He is everywhere. He is in the atom. From him everything expands. So this is Krishna. So Prabhupada says that we, conditioned souls, we're influenced by the material energy. We're thinking so many illusory things. We're thinking in so many ways. I am man, I am woman, I am this, I am that. And it's all illusion. And then when we see Krishna appear in the world, we foolishly conclude he is just like ordinary person. So Prabhupada says, don't be affected, don't be influenced. He uses this word, don't be influenced by the illusory energy. Don't be influenced by Maya when you try to conclude something about Krishna. Krishna is not under Maya. Maya comes from Krishna. So Krishna may look like his ordinary person, or he comes as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. We have to remember, in the appearance of Lord Krishna, he appeared first of all in his Vishnu form, not like ordinary human baby. Then he transformed himself to the baby, but so immediately he came in the Vishnu form. So not ordinary personality. So people who don't read anything about Krishna, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam or Bhagavad Gita, they're still under the material energy. What they will conclude, they'll just conclude that he's just one of us. They see. Now Duryodhana, he was like that. He saw some mystic powers of Krishna, and he thought, well, he's just got some mystic power. He didn't accept him as the supreme personality of God. Of course, others did. Bhishma did, Arjuna did, all the Pandavas. They accepted him. They knew. They were enlightened, and they were enlightened by the mercy of Krishna. They were serious, sincere devotees. And so, now, to come to this position, one needs a lot of understanding, and Prabhupada says here, those who really seek to understand the absolute truth, meaning Lord Krishna, come to understand that Krishna is everything, and Prabhupada quotes here from Bhagavad Gita, Vasudevam Savamiti, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. And then he goes on to, such great souls are very rare, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha, very rare, in comparison to how many people are in the world. So someone to conclude. There are many who live in the world, many billions and billions, and of course other species of life, but even the humans are many billions. And then of those, only a very small fraction take up the spiritual path. And of those who take up the spiritual path, some are following the path of the liberation, Brahman realization. So then even fewer still come to understand who is Krishna, and then fewer still conclude that Krishna is actually the source of everything. So here, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha by Prabhupada is a very rare person in comparison to other people, especially in Kali Yuga, that comes to this conclusion. Nonetheless, if you study the entire Bhagavad Gita as it is, Prabhupada actually says this, study the entire Bhagavad Gita. Now, this month, we know next week is coming up to Gita Jayanti. Gita Jayanti is on the 23rd of this month. This is Margashisha month. And on the 23rd this month is the anniversary when Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita at Jyotisa and in Kurukshetra. Some of you may have been to Jyotisa. Now we have one big temple coming up there. Before we had, previously in Kurukshetra township, we had temple for many years there. Prabhupada always wanted at Jyotisa. And finally we got, I think, something like 17 acres. The government was helping. And so now almost complete. You can look on the website, ISKCON Jyotisa, and see a nice temple, and they're making wheels, and they put the chariot horses in the front, making it look like a chariot. And then the deities, of course, inside. So almost complete, maybe another 6 months, 1 year to final finishing. They're all the time reciting Bhagavad Gita and Kirtan, these things. So Prabhupada says, if you can read the entire Bhagavad Gita and hear it from the right source, Prabhupada adds this, you have to hear it from the right source, you know. I mean, one can read and come to the wrong conclusion. You can read it and come to a different conclusion. But if you hear it from the author himself, then you will understand it just exactly. So we hear Bhagavad Gita, we hear it, Krishna spoke it, and Krishna spoke it we have the disciplic succession, and everyone heard from their guru, and so it's presented very nicely. And Prabhupada ends by saying here, if we read the entire Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is very easy to understand. Very easy to understand. But we have to read it from the right person. Krishna conscious movement is just trying to make Krishna known all over the world. And that's a Prabhupada we saw. He went all over the world, came here so many times, here to this temple, and speaking Bhagavad Gita. He used to speak Bhagavad Gita, give night classes on the Bhagavad Gita. Here and in the town hall, and in Sydney also. He came. We spent some time in Perth. Mainly he came Sydney, and then Melbourne, and here he would give Bhagavad Gita classes. He would be sitting there, also in the previous temple. So every night speaking on Krishna, and he says just trying to get Krishna known all over the world and who he is. He is the Supreme Personality of God. So if people take this movement seriously, Prabhupada ends up saying their lives as human beings will be successful. Understand Krishna, understand yourself, try to follow the instructions in Bhagavad Gita, then your whole life will be very, very successful. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Has anyone got any questions, comments? In regard to today's verse. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for the wonderful class. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, I have a question.
Hold it a little bit further. Yeah.
Maharaj, I have a question. Sometimes this question comes to my mind. So, talking about the illusion, it's sometimes Maya comes so soft to our mind, right?
Is Maya what?
Maya coming so soft. Sometimes
so subtly.
Yeah.
So soft.
Sorry.
Okay.
And then sometimes I'm thinking, how to know we already do service to Krishna by love or by ego?
And service influenced by Maya. Is that what you're asking? What are you asking? How do we know whether the service is pure?
Yeah, by love, because sometimes
mechanical?
Yeah, sometimes really like doing this service, and then we don't let the other one to do this service because I really like it. Sometimes it's coming to my mind, is it I do this service by love or just by ego?
You can't expect in the beginning when you come to the Krishna consciousness you will be all pure. You will still have some habits and consciousness from the past. So we are beginning devotees or intermediate devotees, so we're going along the path and you're becoming purified. So we're not, but we're doing the service now, not on the topmost levels of the service. Sometimes we still have some feeling of thinking of other things. Sometimes we don't appreciate others' service. We don't like the way they do the service. Of course, maybe sometimes they're not doing correctly the service, and someone who is experienced devotee will just teach them how to do the service. But sometimes we are looking at other one's service and maybe we're jealous of them, and so this is our impurity. Our impurity. If someone is doing very nice service and you're feeling they're jealous of them, that you can understand that is not a not pure thing. Because if someone is very high, advanced, they will very much be in ecstasy. They say, "Oh, they're doing so much service." Now there is a type of jealousy, not jealousy, but envy in the spiritual world. But in a good way, just like the gopis, they see how much nice service that Srimati Radharani does, and they envy her, but in a different. They envy her that they wish they could do that type of service. They don't envy her in that, I wish she didn't do that type of service, so then my service can be appreciated. That's the materialistic envy, materialistic jealousy. So we have like that because we're still impure. We're not completely pure. So when you feel like that, then you have to, with your intelligence and understanding of Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, so no, I can't think like that. I have to always be humble. And so the problem is we're not always humble. And Lord Chaitanya says that you have to wear humility like a necklace around your neck. It's always there. So when you do your service, always humble. Who am I? The real Vaishnava, he thinks everyone's doing better service than him. Everyone. I'm doing very poor service. Only by Krishna's grace I am allowed to do some service. But my service is not very high. But others, they're doing that. So this is advanced devotee. He sees like that. And he appreciates even a little bit of service. So then we understand that when you're seeing someone doing very nice service, but then you're feeling some bad things against them, that is our own impurity. So therefore we have to tell ourselves, don't feel like that. Do some more chanting, do some more engaging in service. Try to serve the devotees more, then you'll become more humble. This is recommended by serving the great devotees. Try to associate with very nice devotees who will inspire you and who are always feeling enthusiastic. They're feeling very positive. They're not criticizing. Always, there are some kutinati, always fault finding, looking for the faults. They're coming here, what is this fault? They're kutinati, we should avoid kutinati, don't looking for the faults. So associate with those who are not like that. If you associate with those who are always kutinati, then you'll become like that. So then associate with very elevated or those who are quite elevated and they're feeling very positive, they don't speak bad things against the others, and then you will also become like that, you'll become purified. But these feelings will be there, and this is our, just that you're asking about that, it means that's very good. That means you're seeing that something is not as it should be. So just your question is good. Your question is very good. So just because you're asking, that means you're wanting to become more elevated and don't think these things. And then so Krishna will help you also. Is that your question? Answer your question? Okay. Yes. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Ramai Swami. Welcome to Melbourne. After a long time we are seeing you.
Yes.
How to absorb, because everybody says you have to think of the lotus feet of Krishna all the time. But it so happens that we think of so many things and not always. So please tell us your realization, how to always think of the lotus feet of Krishna and absorb in them,
Well,
so that the mind is always...
Yes, but it's not so easy thing to always think of Krishna. That means to try to always be engaged in the service of Krishna. When you're doing all service, then it'll be more natural to think of Krishna. But we can't think of Krishna always because we're not, as I said to Maharaji here, that we're not purified. Our contamination is stopping us thinking of always of Krishna. We're thinking, because of our impurity, we're thinking other things. But if we're always engaged in service, therefore when Prabhupada always came, he was always a seva, render service. He always wanted to see his devotees doing some service. Because by doing service, we become attached. We're doing the service in the material world, we become attached to the material things. When we're doing service for Krishna, we become attached to Krishna. So very easily, when we're doing seva. So we have to see we're always doing something. Prabhupada would always say, don't be idle. Just try to do something for Krishna. And if there's nothing immediately to be done, just sit, chant Hare Krishna. This is Vaishnava. Nothing immediately to be done, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. You're chanting. So always engage. But we shouldn't think we're always thinking of Krishna. This is the ideal. And I always remember that's this story with the Giriraj, now Maharaj, who was with Prabhupada walking at Jewel Beach Temple, and said, Prabhupada, mainly I'm thinking of Krishna, but sometimes I'm thinking of Maya. Prabhupada stopped, he said, no, mainly you're thinking Maya and sometimes you think of Krishna. So in the beginning we'll be like that. So don't be disappointed. It's to be expected, but at the same time we have what our goal should be. And so by doing activities, seva, doing service, we used to say like that, it's not so common now, but when we were new devotees, we used to say, oh, this one, that one, they've got good service attitude. Good service attitude, have a good service attitude.
So what you are saying is loving and sincere service and trying to chant as much as possible.
Yeah.
And a sincere chanting also should be very pure.
Yeah, yeah.
And
that won't be pure also, and that's because
contaminations.
Contamination, yeah. So that will become pure. So we have the different stages of chanting.
Thank you.
Namaparad.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, like that, so on. We have to become Sudanam, pure chanting. That will come after time. There's one final question. Yes,
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Here we see Maya Danava creating a well which has the ability to bring the dead back to life.
Yeah.
But our understanding is only Krishna has that power to...
No, it is Mritya Samjivani is described, a pool which contains all magical herbs and things like that. If the body's intact, it's there in the Ayurveda also. Of course, we know Hanuman went to get the Mritya Samjivani for Lakshman and Ram. And so one can, if all the parts of the body are intact, they can, by administrating, the soul is still present there, they can revive the body. So but it's a temporary thing. Ultimately, the body will die. It can't be eternal, because after all, the body is temporary. So someone can die if, just like even today in modern medicine, someone can die, but miraculously, if they catch him quick enough, they can revive him just by putting the, I don't know if they still do those electric shock things or whatever they can do. They can even, clinically he's dead, but if they catch it in time, they can bring them back to life. The soul is still there. So in with these demons, the story is that very quickly Maya Danava would have somebody gather them up from lying dead and bring them to the pool and put them inside, then they would come out. And so very quickly they would go, someone's limbs were broken, there's another thing. That's a whole other level of, sometimes someone very powerful, just like we know, Daksha got a new head. And Lord Shiva with Lord Ganesh gave the head of the elephant. So sometimes when there's separation, but it's a very rare thing. So generally the body has to be intact, and if you get very quickly, you can put in the Mritya Samjivani well, and you can bring the life back. But eternal life, that's not there. They wanted eternal life, I said in the story. They asked Brahma, well, give us eternal life. No, you can't. You can't have in this world eternal. You can't have. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Before lunch? Oh, yeah. I've got a meeting with Mathura in the morning. What time are you around till? Till when?
I'll be back in Melbourne.
Oh, you don't live in Melbourne, huh? Well, I guess if you stick around till 10 o'clock, there's a long meeting.
Half an hour pitch.
Oh, that's good. One of those. Well, maybe come up at 10 o'clock. Because I'm here to yeah, I'll do it.
I mean, my main concern is I don't know whether you have plans.
No. That's what it is. Yeah, plants. I'll check it out. See what can be done. All right. You know, everyone's concerned about the plants, you know? Okay. All right. Whereabouts? Yeah. Do you want to get tomorrow? No, tomorrow after breakfast.
I've had